My brother-in-law moved in after his divorce. My husband said he needed support. I cooked for him, did his laundry, helped him find a therapist. One afternoon, I heard them laughing in the bedroom, our bedroom. I thought it was the TV until I walked in and saw them under the sheets. They looked at me, shocked. I said, "Don't stop on my account. Just finish quickly, I've got movers coming in an hour." I'm 42 female, from a small town about 20 minutes outside Tulsa, Oklahoma. I had been married to Dean, 44 male, for 15 years. We had a life together that felt solid. No fireworks, but a good, steady kind of love. Or at least I thought so. Dean's younger brother Brad, 39 male, was always part of our lives. More like a stray dog we couldn't get rid of. Lost jobs, bar fights, bad relationships, you name it. But he was blood, so we kept opening the door for him. 3 months ago, Brad's wife finally kicked him out. She found out he was cheating, lying, drinking. Same old Brad. Dean came home one night, looking tired and serious. He's got no one, he said. No friends left. He can't go back to Mom's place either. It's too small. I didn't even think about it. I just said, of course he can stay here. He's family. Biggest mistake of my life. At first, it was fine. I gave him fresh sheets for the guest bed. Made sure he had groceries. Cooked him real meals. When he left dirty laundry all over the place, I washed it. I didn't even complain. I figured he was broken. Hurt. I wanted to help him get back on his feet. I even found him a therapist. Researched good ones, made him an appointment, gave him a ride. But Brad didn't want to heal. He wanted to coast. He started sleeping until 2 in the afternoon. Leaving plates everywhere. Watching TV for hours with his hand down his pants like a teenager. I picked up the slack around the house and told myself, he's grieving. He's struggling. Be patient. Dean would pat my hand and say, "Thanks for doing so much. He'll get better soon." I started to feel invisible, like I was just the live-in maid. Then came that Friday afternoon. I wasn't supposed to be home. I had a meeting out of town, but the client canceled last minute. I figured I'd swing by the house, grab my laptop, maybe surprise Dean with lunch. When I pulled into the driveway, I saw both Dean's truck and Brad's beat-up old Buick. I thought nothing of it. Maybe they were hanging out, watching a game. The house was quiet. Too quiet. No TV noise. No kitchen mess. Just a strange kind of thick silence. I was halfway up the stairs when I heard it. Laughter. Muffled. Coming from our bedroom. At first, I thought it was the TV. Maybe an old sitcom. But something felt wrong. I can't explain it. Just that gut feeling you get when the air around you goes heavy. I stood outside the door, my hand on the knob. I heard another giggle. And then a low, breathless chuckle that definitely wasn't from a television. Without thinking, I pushed the door open. And there they were. Dean and Brad. Naked. Twisted up together under my floral bedspread. Laughing like 2 teenagers sneaking cigarettes behind the school. When they saw me, they froze. Brad's face turned white. Dean looked like he might puke. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just stared at them, at their tangled bodies, the sweat on their faces, the sheets I had changed just 3 days ago. And then I said, calmly, like I was reading off a grocery list, "Don't stop on my account. Just finish quickly, I've got movers coming in an hour." Their jaws dropped open, like maybe they couldn't figure out if I was serious. I turned and walked away. I didn't have movers coming. It was a bluff. But I wasn't going to stand there and be humiliated in my own damn house. I got in my car, drove straight to a moving company in town, slammed my debit card on the counter, and said, "Empty the house." Today. The guy looked nervous, but nodded. Guess he could tell I wasn't messing around. I called a locksmith while the movers packed. Told them to change all the locks after they loaded my stuff. By the time Dean and Brad scrambled downstairs, the living room was half empty. Dean tried to talk. His voice cracked. Wait, please, let's talk about this. I walked past him like he wasn't there. Brad just stood there, clutching a pillow over his junk like a bad sitcom character. I left them standing in the ruins of our home, surrounded by the broken pieces of what we used to be. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment across town that night. It smelled like paint and old carpet, but it was mine. It was clean, quiet, nobody lying, nobody laughing behind my back. The movers had dumped my things wherever they could. I didn't care. I slept on a mattress on the floor with my cat curled up by my feet. The next morning, Dean started calling. He left voicemails. Long, desperate ones. Please call me back. Please, it's not what it looked like. I didn't listen. I blocked his number. Then Brad started messaging me on Facebook. I didn't mean for it to happen. You were always too good for Dean anyway. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. I didn't respond. I blocked him too. For a few weeks, I tried to live quietly. I went to work. I unpacked my things. I avoided the grocery stores and coffee shops where I might run into people I knew. But it's a small town, and word spread fast. One afternoon, I went to pick up dry cleaning. The woman behind the counter gave me a tight smile. Heard about what happened, she said. You hold your head high, sweetheart. Another time, at the post office, a woman I barely knew leaned in and whispered, they're sick. You're better off. Turns out Dean and Brad hadn't exactly kept things quiet after I left. People talked. Dean's boss heard about it. Dean got demoted. Lost the corner office. No more business trips, no more bonus checks. Brad tried to get a job at the gas station, but the owner knew my side of the family. Fired him after a week. I didn't plan any of it. I just stayed silent. Let them destroy themselves. Then came the final straw. One night, about a month after I left, I got home and found Dean sitting on the steps of my apartment building. Looking like hell. Skinny, bloodshot eyes, clutching a grocery store bouquet. I miss you, he croaked. I was confused. I still love you. I stared at him, feeling nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Just empty. You're trespassing, I said. He cried, right there on the sidewalk. Begged me to forgive him. Promised it had been a mistake. I called the cops. When the officer showed up, Dean tried to argue. Said he lived here. Said I was his wife. Said he had a right. The cop looked at him like he was trash on the curb. She doesn't want you here. Leave now or spend the night in jail. Dean left, still sobbing. It should have hurt to see him like that. But it didn't. Not even a little. Later that night, I found out from a friend that Brad had packed up and left town without telling anyone. Stole Dean's truck and racked up thousands on his credit cards before vanishing. Dean was left with debt collectors calling, no car and no one to blame but himself. After Brad ran off, it got even uglier. Turns out, Brad hadn't just stolen Dean's truck and credit cards. He'd emptied Dean's savings account too. Wiped it clean. Over $18,000 gone. Apparently, Dean had trusted him enough to give him online banking access months ago, just in case. And Brad used it to drain every penny the second he saw the chance. Dean tried to go after him legally, but it was useless. Brad was long gone. No forwarding address. No job. No trail. Dean's mom, who had always babied Brad, defended him no matter what, turned on Dean too. Said it was Dean's own fault for bringing shame on the family. She's right to leave you, she snapped at him during a fight. I heard about it later from a neighbor. You made your bed. Dean lost his job completely 2 months later. Fired for personal issues affecting workplace behavior. Probably because he kept showing up late, looking hungover and miserable. He sold his truck. Sold his tools. Moved back in with his mom, tail between his legs. Meanwhile, I was doing better than I expected. I found a better apartment. Got a promotion at work. Took weekend trips to places I never had time for before. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, but it felt good to have dinner with someone who smiled at me like I mattered. One night, a woman I barely knew from town messaged me on Facebook. "Hey, just thought you should know. Brad's been spotted in Amarillo, using a fake name, working under the table." I laughed. I couldn't help it. Of course he was. Brad was always a cockroach. He'd survive anything. But he would never, ever be happy. And Dean? Dean kept trying to crawl back into my life. On Thanksgiving, he sent a card to my parents' house. "Thinking of you." At Christmas, he left a package at my door. Inside was the necklace he gave me on our 5th anniversary. No note. Just the necklace, tangled up in its old velvet box. I dropped it off at Goodwill without a second thought. But the worst part? The part that almost made me crumble? About 6 months after everything blew up, I found out Dean had tried to hurt himself. A failed attempt, but still. His mom called me, sobbing, asking if I could come see him. Said he needed me. For one terrible second, I thought about it. Then I remembered the laughter in my bedroom. Their naked bodies. The betrayal. The way he lied to my face for months while I cared for both of them like a fool. I hung up. And I never looked back. Months passed. Life moved on. The town eventually found a new scandal to talk about. Some teacher having an affair with the mayor's wife. Small towns never run out of gossip. I built a new life, piece by piece. Got promoted again. Bought myself a brand new SUV. Took a real vacation. First time alone, driving up the Pacific Coast Highway. Windows down, music loud. I smiled for real. Laughed for real. Slept without nightmares. But the past has a way of trying to crawl back. One Saturday morning, about a year after everything, I was at the farmer's market picking up tomatoes when I spotted him. Dean. Or what was left of him. He looked like hell. Skinny, pale, eyes hollow, hair thinning fast. He was pushing a cart of cheap vegetables, wearing old clothes that hung off him. Our eyes met for a second. He flinched like he'd been hit. I didn't say a word. I didn't give him a smile or a nod. I turned my back and kept walking. But that's not the end. Later that day, when I got home, I found an envelope taped to my door. No name. No return address. Inside was a crumpled, tear-stained letter in Dean's handwriting. He begged. Begged for forgiveness. Said he was homeless. Said his mother had kicked him out too. Said Brad had ruined him and he didn't know how to start over. Said he still loved me. Asked if there was any chance I could help him. Even just a little. He even included a photo of us from years ago, one where I was smiling at him, totally in love, totally stupid. I stood there staring at that photo for a long time. Then I walked inside. Pulled out a lighter. Set the whole thing on fire. Watched it burn to ash on my balcony. No second chances. No mercy. No going back. I heard a few months later that Dean got picked up for shoplifting. Bread and canned soup. Nothing expensive. Just trying to survive. He spent 3 days in county jail. Brad? Last I heard he was arrested in Texas for check fraud. Might even be doing time now. I didn't care enough to check. As for me, I bought a little house by the lake. Bright yellow front door. White fence. A big backyard for my cat to roam. I built a life nobody could ever tear down again. And every night, before I go to sleep, I lock the door tight. Not because I'm scared, but because I know now, the worst monsters aren't the ones you see coming. They're the ones you let in.